Hey everybody, it is April 17th, 2020, and we are feeling good because it is Friday. And today we got Jeff Wielgopolan, SVP Learning and Development, Forbes Travel Guide, and a host of veterinarians out there to help you take care of your pets. And we might even have a surprise from some of the house manimals here in the house. That's right, the cats may make a special appearance. We know that this is going to be a good show, so make sure you join Anthony and I coming right up. Anthony Milkiri, my brother, how are you today on Feel Good Friday?
I feel really good, but I got to tell you something. It's weird for me to be sitting there while you're introducing the show, and then we go live to the video, and I'm sitting there like an idiot.
What does that have to do with me introducing the show? I'm confused.
I'm very uncomfortable with being your stooge. And also I want to make another note, my friend.
Yes, sir.
The note I want to make is I think on Feel Good Friday, if Jeff, our producer, is listening, I think we need a Feel Good. I think we need a Feel Good Friday video. I think that we're taking our Monday through Thursday video. And Friday. I think we need a Feel Good Friday video.
Friday video. That's great. That's what I absolutely love to see, Anthony.
Why do I try to compete with you? All right. So our first guest is from Forbes. I'm excited, but then our other guests are Veterinary Care Group, where I'm a board member, and I want to ask them, how do you take care of pets during this period of time? Because I see it around my own family, and I see it around my friends and loved ones that, I mean, the stress is getting to people, and you can see it shows up and manifests itself in different ways. Like one of my daughters is doing a lot of art. I've never seen her do art before. So, and that's a positive thing, but I want to see what their perspective is of how it manifests itself in animals.
Right. Yeah. And we're going to find that out. So far, the animals around here seem to be very happy to have all of the love and attention. And let me tell you, I'm not the only one getting quarantine weight. They are as well, because we keep giving them so many treats to get them out of our faces over there. All right, Anthony. I just want to say I'm wearing my Jewish soccer jersey today from Israel to celebrate the end of Passover. I hope everybody had a good time. I know we celebrated the end of Passover last night by getting back into eating the chumetz, all of the bread and all that good stuff out there. So we made it through. So next year in Jerusalem, as they always say. And I also want to thank Bartech because they've dedicated 30 years to hotels, minibar operations, and they've got a technological solution out there to help you guys boost your sales on site. And when hotel guests start to come back, they're going to want to be able to order more food and drink within their rooms, right? So be sure to check out Bartech, bartech.com, or send them a note, info@bartech.com. Sorry about that, Anthony. You want to take it from here, my friend? Let's
yes, I want to bring in Jeff, and this will be interesting because we'll introduce Jeff, and you'll find out what's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting interview.
Let's go. All right, I got to bring up our next guest graphic. Boom. Jeff, welcome to Feel Good Friday. Mr. Jeff Wielgopolan, how are you, sir? You've got no sound whatsoever, Jeff. The man trying to keep you down.
It's not very 5-star, Jeff.
Maybe, yeah. Nope. And the funny thing was, before we were doing this show, we could hear him plenty. But now we can't. This is good stuff. So, Anthony, while we wait for Jeff to get on, the reason why we're having Jeff on here today is Jeff, can we hear you now? This is very strange, man.
Why don't you take him out, and then bring him back?
Yeah. Boop. All right, we'll let you get that figured out behind the scenes.
So what's interesting about Jeff's position, Jeff's basically the global trainer, vice president in charge of Forbes Travel. Now, most people know Forbes, but they don't know that Forbes not only rates hotels, but they also have a training program. So what I'm interested in to find out is he goes in with his team and he trains all over the world these 5-star, 4-star hotels and other venues. Don't have to just be 5- and 4-star hotels. And he teaches you how to show up and how a guest wants service. The way people wanted service before this pandemic and the way people want service after this pandemic is going to be a global shift is going to be a seismic shift. And so I'm interested to find out what they're doing to prepare to come out of this, because if they're not changing their standards and they're not changing their protocols, I would be shocked. So I'm really interested to get into the nitty gritty of that.
Yeah, I'm going to look forward to that too, just as soon as he comes back. In the meantime, Eric Pittman, happy birthday to you. So glad that it could be on a Friday there. So happy birthday to you. And getting lots of people, talking about that. Hey, we even got someone that likes my cool shirt. And Justin, I got this one. I was in Israel a few years ago. So celebrating a little piece of my heritage over there to today. So hopefully Jessica will come back. But Anthony, go on.
So in the meantime, one of the things that we talked about yesterday, and one of the things that Forbes is going to be really challenged with is, are people going to want turn down service, and are they going to want mints on their pills, or are they going to want their room fogged and no housekeeping services and enough towels in the room where they don't have to interact with anyone? And that's not very 5-star, and that's not very 4-star. So are we going to go back to what people wanted, or what people want in the future? And what do you think about that? Like you, my friend, you go to a 5-star hotel. What do you want when you walk into a room?
What do I want? Mostly, I just want to feel really super good, really super comfortable, not have to think about anything. And then mostly just to feel a little bit pampered, I think. But it's also about when, to me, service is also about the staff knowing when I need help and I want to be left alone. And to me, that's the real trickiest part, because it's different for even the same people at different times of their stay.
I think that's absolutely critical, and I think you're right. And is our guest ready to come back on, or are you still not?
Guest has completely vanished for now. So I think the best thing to do is, hey guys out there, it's Feel Good Friday. Tell us why you're feeling good. Tell us where you're from and how today we can help make you feel good. Any good feel good advice that you have over there that you're doing in order to make yourself feel pretty good. Yeah.
I want to challenge everybody, because I challenge myself. Is what I want to do is I want everyone to think about somebody else today. We're all consumed with the stress, and we're all consumed with what's in front of us. But put a smile on somebody's face today, whether it be a phone call, whether it be a note, whether it be an article in your local newspaper. Do something today to inspire others, especially nurses, doctors, firemen, police officers, UPS drivers, anyone that's out there fighting a good fight today. So today, try to come outside yourself a little bit and do something for somebody else. So Feel Good Friday. Other people feel good.
I got some breaking news, Anthony. And here he is.
I'm back.
And we can hear him.
Well,
hey, Jeff.
That's weird. We were just talking.
Jeff, as the person that is the standard for the hotel industry and teaches us all how to be the standard, I'm very disappointed.
Oh, I'm very. But you want to know what? We're here.
And I got to tell you,
we figured it out.
And I am relieved, because finally he's disappointed in someone other than me. So this is a great day for me.
So, Jeff, if you can explain what you did before this pandemic, kind of what Forbes training was, what it's all about, and then we're going to get into what you're doing now, because coming out of this, because it doesn't make sense. Like, we're in a pandemic right now, and we're going to be talking about service standards. Doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense once we get to the other side of coming out of this and what you're preparing for. So tell everybody what you did, and also how many miles did you fly last year?
So I've actually been with Forbes Travel Guide now for 14 and a half years and a little bit more than 2.5 million miles, and flew just shy of 250,000 last year. So when travel is literally the middle name of your company, that's what you do. And so prior to this, prior to the pandemic, I oversee a global team of 20 people, of 20 executive trainers. And what we do is we go and work with hotels, restaurants, spas of sort of any star rating level, to luxury retail, residential, to private aviation, to luxury medical, and just really get the staff and the teams and the leaders and managers to just think like a luxury guest, to sort of demystify what service is, to really think about a sequence and steps of service, and just really get an outsider's perspective sometimes of like what works, what doesn't, why doesn't it work, and just sort of give people like the confidence to just go out and do this. I think sometimes when you hear like 5-star service, it seems really intimidating, when in reality, it's actually just sort of about being nice and just being nice consistently, right? But, over the course of.
And what do you think of coming out of this as far as the training of employees? It seems that when we come out of this, we're going to have a lot of people to pick from, whereas before we didn't. What is the critical mistake do you think that employers are making or going to make coming out of this when looking for talent? Because I think, the people in front of you that you're training, and I'm sure that you have many, many stories of you're sitting there and you see those few people in the room that you're like, I wish everybody in the room was like that. Right. Right. Because these people are taking down my energy, and you have to go into fifth gear with your energy just to not lose your mind, because you're talking to, the wall sometimes. So what can employers do to prevent those people from being in the room?
Well, I mean, obviously it comes down to like hiring, right? So, I mean, I think that it's a pretty standard answer, but something that we talk about in training a lot is that I think an enormous mistake that operators make is that they only train people for their own role. And so from an experience standpoint, you don't really know what your own role is if you never see the other side of it, right? If you're only training the front desk on just what the front desk does, and you don't know what the door does and you don't know what the bell does, then how do you create an experience for your guest when you're only seeing 1/3 of what the guest does? So I think from a great confidence standpoint, like what hotels will need, I think that's a great sort of reset, is that when they bring everybody back on, to like train them on the whole thing from what the guest sees. So that way, like, you understand not only your role, but that service can be that much sharper, but also as a team member, you can be so much more confident.
But from what is the mistake, do you think? I want to kind of just drill down a little bit. What's the mistake? Because what's really frustrating to me is that people don't spend the time on hiring. And I know you're there to take the people they hired. But when you're sitting in the room, what's the one thing you look for for a student, whether it be a front office manager or a director, they're a student of yours? What are you looking for? What's the number one thing that you can instantly know if that person's going to get what I'm saying? And then more importantly, is it going to last 6 months? Because I imagine a lot of times you walk into these rooms and 30 minutes after you leave, you're afraid that some of these people didn't get what you're saying. What's that one trait that you're looking for?
I'll give an example from Montage Hotels, because it's something that was said to me a long time ago that it's still stuck with me. So when I was working with the team at Montage Laguna Beach, the former rooms director there, Mauricio Salza, said something, that they have something called panel, where you kind of go through the interview process, and then at the very ending, you meet a couple of executives who interview for 4 minutes, and then they agree or they disagree. And then you get the job. Mm-hmm. And I remember asking Mauricio, what are you looking for in 4 minutes? And he's like, at this point in time, you've probably already been vetted. Your background and like all that stuff has been looked at. But all I'm looking for you in 4 minutes is to make me smile. That all you have to do is just put a smile on my face and make me laugh and just make me comfortable. You're hired. Mm-hmm. If you come in and you think that like you're so experienced and you're so rigid, it's like, I don't want you in front of my guest. If you think it's just about being an expert on a computer or like being, having this exceptional amount of wine knowledge, if you can't be able to converse with your guest. So like remembering that has always stuck with me for, I think, to this day. And so I think when we're training, you're just looking at like, how relaxed are people? Can people just smile? Because at the end of the day, no one wants to sit and eat in a funeral home. Like no one wants to feel uncomfortable in their hotel where it just feels like it's so stoic. Right. So I think just the ability to just converse.
I just got a text from the Funeral Home Association of America saying hey, their owners love eating in their places of business. I want to feel good for 1 second before we go on with that. Check out this comment from Todd Harmon up there. We're day 10 into staff self-quarantine. No staff members showing signs of COVID-19, they mean. Buying dinner for staff's family with positive COVID-19 member next. Committing to a $5 raise to staff through July 1st, and they're still open. That's something to really feel good about there. That's something that's pretty impressive right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So now what is Forbes doing to coming out of this? Because we're not going to have the same standards coming out of this as we went into this. And to be perfectly honest with you, I just care about my safety when I'm going to a hotel, especially a 5-star hotel. So I know you said you furloughed or laid off a lot of employees, unfortunately, but you're still working, and there's a lot of people still working at Forbes. What are you doing? There's no hotels to train, and so what does a work day look like? What are you doing every day?
So we have been, we've been busy putting together first a series of 10 complimentary webinars that will start next Thursday called Hospitality Strong. So if you are listening and you are interested, obviously you can go to our website and register for them. And there we go. But what we thought would be good is, just to spend 30 minutes a week sort of rehashing of like why we are in this industry in the first place, to talk about professionalism, emotional engagement, thinking ahead, sort of just preparing ourselves mentally for how do we get stronger on the other side of this. And so maybe just connecting people back with their hospitality roots. So
and how about cleaning a room? Like what I would want to hear from Forbes is, what is a new 5-star room? How's it cleaned? What kind of systems are they using? What kind of chemicals are they using? Like what are we doing? Like, is there going to be any kind of standards like that talked about? And because that's one question I get every day.
It's definitely a very popular one for us too, that we get a lot. To be honest, like, we don't have a crystal ball, so I think it's too soon to start putting quote unquote global standards into place, because the moment in which we make a standard, it has to be applicable to the 70 countries in which we rate. So we have to be very mindful of something of like that. I think that when we start talking about like reopening, obviously I think a lot of processes are going to be reevaluated. Like, will in-room dining be, always like come with an option of, like, do you want this to be set up, or do you just want this to be left in your room? Right? Like, from a pump style dispenser of shampoo and amenities in your room, will that even be there? Or are you going to want a box of amenities that no one has touched and that you yourself open? So, I think it's too soon to necessarily say, but you already start to hear of a lot of hotels working on what this post-COVID world will look like, for sure. How many people on an elevator? Are menus underneath glass tables, so that way that's one less thing for you to touch? Are you printing pads of them so they're all single serve, so you will just take your own hand sanitizing wipes and sanitizing wipes and hand sanitizer everywhere? So you're already starting to see this, but like rotation of rooms. So there's a lot of ideas, but I don't necessarily know if we're at the point where we can create a global standard for them yet. But it'll be definitely interesting to have it play out.
I like the idea of not just getting that free glass of champagne or a bottle of water when you check in, maybe getting a little mini hand sanitizer thing as well. That'll help customer confidence. I want to share a little bit more good news here. Mike McManus says they're donating and treating 2 homeless shelters with their bed bug repellent, but disinfecting along with meals for about 200 people in Northern California. That's pretty awesome stuff like that.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, so since today's Feel Good Friday, let's get out of the drudgery of standards, and let's talk about the person that has flown more than me and Glenn probably combined, and we both fly a lot. What is, and you get this all the time, and I'm sorry I'm going to ask you, but you know the question that's coming.
I know it.
Okay, the number one place on earth, money is not an object, time is not an object. You have 2 weeks and all the money in the world, and you're not going as a Forbes person, you're going as just Jeff. Where are you going?
My house.
You're there now.
I won't give you that cop-out answer. When we start talking about like favorite hotels, I don't know if I have a particular favorite. I know that my corny answer in terms of travel will be my favorite place to travel is the place I haven't been to yet, because there's just so much to see and there's so much to learn from obviously different places and different cultures. I think like that's what continues to excite me 14 and a half years in. But to go on an African safari or to, rent a villa in the Maldives would be pretty nice. So
have you been on an African safari?
I have not. I've been to a couple of places within Africa, but not in a safari.
I'm surprised by that. What's the one thing that you did during all your travel that we would be surprised by?
That's a great question. I think maybe the idea of you're staying in all of these great hotels and eating all these wonderful restaurants, but I think that life has a very funny way of balancing itself out of how many times you're sleeping on an airport floor because there's just nowhere for you to go. When your in-room dining table sets itself on fire, to vacating a hotel in the middle of the night because the fire alarm is going off and now you need to leave. So I don't know if there's anything I've particularly done, but life isn't all so glamorous, right? There's a lot of humility that life throws your way.
Absolutely.
Plus you gotta look good and dress up all the time. That's exhausting.
It's not so bad. That's not so bad.
Right. What is how fast can you get through a TSA line? Is there anybody better at you than going through a TSA line?
I'll share something about myself is that my family and my friends know that there's Jeff and Airport Jeff. And Airport Jeff is a different person. So if you so much as hesitate in that line, I'm just going in front of you, throwing my stuff on the belt and walking through. So I can, with clear and pre-check, you can go through security in 60 seconds.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Right.
I love clear so freaking much. Helps me get through the airport. It reminds me of the good old days when I used to travel. But the worst part is when you're stuck with this huge decision. You've got clear, but your family doesn't. Do you stay with them or do you ditch them? What do you do? Anthony ditches them.
No, you stay with them.
He ditches them. What about you, Jeff? What would you do?
You go through and you buy a coffee or a smoothie or something for everybody on the other side.
I stay with them, and then I complain about staying with them for the entire time and make them regret that I'm actually with them. That's my strategy.
Nice work.
It's funny, Jeff. There is definitely Airport Anthony, 100%. I'm not jumping in front of people if you're taking too long. But because I don't want to, because my face is recognizable, I don't want to be that guy that he can picture and say that guy's an asshole, the guy from Hotel Impossible. So I don't do that. But I will tell you the couple of times, because I don't really I don't like traveling with people. I like traveling by myself, especially in business. So if I have a partner I have to travel with, I usually just meet him there. Even Glenn, I was like, Glenn, I'll meet you there.
Oh, totally. But then sometimes we'll bump into each other in the Sky Lounge and then have to have a conversation with each other when we both want to we're just done talking after a trip and want to be left alone.
Right. But when I'm going through the airport, I am very much focused on, because people always say to me, isn't traveling a hassle? And it really isn't.
The suspense. What?
What?
Why have we all here? Anthony, we lost you at a critical moment. What did you say? Could you please repeat that?
I said you're a very handsome fellow. What I said was, when I'm going through an airport, I don't want to talk to anybody. Period. I just want to get to my destination, and I use one airline. I don't know what your favorite airline is, Jeff. You don't have to say, but I use one, and I refuse to be on any other airline. I will. I'll spend my own money. If somebody's flying me out, I'll spend my own money to get on my own on that airline. If for some reason they can't book that airline, I think it's very critical. What I was saying was, traveling's a hassle, but not to me, because if you do it efficiently, it's not a hassle. The car picks you up, you get clear, you go to the Sky Lounge, you have a really nice breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Yeah, I don't have a drink, but if I did, I would have a drink, and then I'd be the first one on the plane. I'm always the first one on the plane, first one off the plane. Very easy, as long as you do it that way.
I joke that as a frequent traveler that flying is the greatest of all fraternities or sororities, meaning that you pledge your airline and you get hazed, right? They charge you for everything. You sit in the back, and then once you pay enough and you show your loyalty, it's like the whole thing changes, right?
I'm still waiting on the secret handshake, though.
Oh.
Well, I don't think there'll be a secret handshake after this.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point there. Yeah. We're gonna have to figure something else out. Jeff, do you have any pets?
I do.
We got some of the pet vets hanging out in the back already. So let's. What kind of animals do you have around your house?
I've got one Spanish water dog who knows that she owns the house.
So what we're going to do, if we can, everyone that's listening,
all right, Anthony froze. I just want to say, oh yeah, go on.
I'm so sorry, I'm freezing. Everyone grab your pet because we're going to have Feel Good Friday Pet Day, and we're going to talk about, with my friends at Veterinary Care Group, we're going to be talking about how to care for your pet during this time. And do you want to take it to the vet right now, or take him to the vet right now? So we're going to talk about that. And Glenn, if you can take me out of the studio, I'm going to go get my dog, and I'll be right back.
All right, he's going to go get his dog. Let's take him out. So I just want to thank all the people from around the world that are watching and listening to our show today. We've got Albania, we've got Singapore, we've got Slovenia. How cool is that to have people from all over the world? Not a big deal for you, Jeff, because you go all over the world, but I think that's pretty cool. I still got to get myself to Singapore. I'm so dying to go see that Las Vegas Sands property there. I cannot
go in the rooftop pool.
Yeah,
for sure. The Marina Bay Sands.
Freaking awesome. Sherry and Salerno says they cannot post pictures of their pets in Facebook. Maybe join us on the LinkedIn streams. Maybe we could do it there. If your guys are listening on LinkedIn over there, let us know whether or not you could do the photos with us as well. I wonder if Anthony's actually going to be able to get his dog. I'm going to try to hunt down one of my cats when we do this. But how old's your dog?
She's 5.
And owns the house, eh?
And is very well aware that she owns it.
And I've never been able to commit to a dog because it's just way too much work. I see all the suckers out there like 5 a.m. in the middle of February watching their animals and then having to bend over and pick up all that poop all the time. I think I had enough of that when I had kids. Walking my kids at 5 a.m. and picking up their poop was enough. I don't need to do that anymore. That's why I love the cats. We kind of have a stand-up. We just kind of stare at each other and ignore each other.
That's what cats do, right?
Yep. Yeah.
They're pretty manipulative too. So I'm sure they think that they own you as well.
So how'd you get involved in Forbes Travel Guide? Where did you come from earlier in your career? How did you know that servant leadership was really your vibe, man?
I have never in my whole life not had a job in hospitality, from private clubs to restaurants to hotels to the back of the house to the front of the house. And I remember I was the dining room director of a restaurant called True in Chicago, and had just heard about this crazy little company called Mobile Travel Guide that was actually based out of Chicago, and cold called our president at the time and asked if there were any positions available. And he said there was one, and it was for the senior manager of quality assurance for restaurants. I was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I would want. And so applied, put writing samples together, and got the job. And 14 and a half years later, here we are.
And for those of you who don't know, Forbes Travel Guide was the mobile travel guide. And I got to tell you, Jeff, that thing was such a big part of my childhood. I remember growing up in it. And I remember in elementary school, my mom taking me over to the Comac Public Library where we get the latest thing. And we'd flip through the book in order to see where we wanted to go on vacation and the hotels that we wanted to stay in and the restaurants we wanted to eat at and all of those kind of things. Then we go over to AAA and get a triptych so we could drive there. Right?
Right. Yeah, we had those in the back of our car too.
Let's bring Anthony back in. Anthony, did you find your dog? He did, but now he's gone again. The suspense is killing me. I cannot deal with it anymore. Anthony, I'll turn on Anthony's mic because he's a little blocked. Anthony.
This is Lily.
What's that?
Say hello. This is Lily. Say hello to Lily. She's 6 years old. And she's a lopso. And you said it like hello, Lily, like you don't care. I don't think Lily likes you.
Honestly, Lily and I had a little bit of unpleasantness a couple of years ago, and she keeps bringing it up every time we talk, and I'm a little hurt. I'm a little hurt by it. I thought we were past it.
Did you meet Lily when you came to my house?
I don't remember. I don't think so. All right. It looks like we got a bunch of the doctors here. So maybe we should transition and bring them in. Jeff, do you want to stick around or do you want to take off? It's up to you, man.
I'll stick around. I'll bring the dog over.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. Well, let's bring in our crew. Joseph Tsang, Dr. Gary, Joseph
Morning, guys.
Silverman. Hello, Doctor.
Hey guys, how's everybody this morning?
Doing great, Anthony. How are you doing?
Thank you.
Everybody meet Lily, and
Hi, Lily.
if you guys could, if you're not talking, because
Yeah, someone's got some crazy background noise. I'm going to remove myself from the room right now and go find one of my animals. I'll be right back.
If you guys could do me a favor and mute your mics because I can't hear anything. Okay, is everybody okay? Oh, there you go, Joseph. It seems like it's your problem. So, well, first of all, welcome. And today we're going to be talking about pets. And how I got involved with you guys is I know Peter, who is one of the owners of the company and the CEO, and he asked me to be on the board. And then I met Dr. Gary, which was absolute pleasure. And now I sit on the board and try to give my 2 cents. And I thought it'd be really important that we're constantly talking about how people are handling this, and we're talking about the financial aspect of what's happening and the medical aspect of what's happening. And I know the first thing that happened when this all came to pass was, well, can your animal get sick? And people were very afraid if the animals can get sick. And then how do you care for your animal during this time? I mean, is it okay to go to the vet? Is it okay to do the regular checkups? So these are the questions I want to ask. So why don't we start with the first question is, let's introduce ourselves to these animals. What animal you have there, Glenn?
I've got a Kit Kat. She is this, so I could sound pretentious, she's my rescue cat, right? So we got her and her sister together, and these the poor little babies were really teeny tiny and didn't have a home, so we were lucky enough to be able to have it. And this one here, Kit Kat, is probably the sweetest cat that I've ever known in my entire life. She is just such a little love.
Jeff, what kind of dog do you have there?
She is a Spanish water dog. Say hi, Finn.
How old is she?
She's 5.
This is Lily, and she's 6. So, Dr. Gary, why don't you tell us? One of the number one things that people are asking is, can your animal get sick with this virus that is out there?
Anthony, first off, I didn't realize this was BYOP. I would have. I don't think there's room in my studio here for my dog. She's a rambunctious Labrador. But so the evidence we have thus far is that dogs can likely not get COVID. I think the other doctors would agree. I think there are a couple of limited instances where they may have identified COVID, the viral particles in a pet, but they don't believe it multiplies in a dog, nor could a dog transmit it. The situation with cats is a little more developing. There was certainly an article from some pets that were at the Bronx Zoo, I believe, some large cats that seem to have contracted the COVID virus and gotten mildly sick from it. Our current thinking is we don't think they could transmit that to a person, but an infected person could possibly give it to their cat. So, Glenn, you need to watch out.
Yeah. Watch out. Well, fortunately, we're keeping healthy over here and being very safe and secure. But what about that? Was it the tiger or lion at the Bronx Zoo? What was the deal with that?
Well, it seems like several large cats at the Bronx Zoo did contract the virus from one of their handlers who was sick. And cats have always been susceptible to different coronaviruses, as have dogs for that matter. This particular coronavirus does seem like it can transmit from an infected person to a cat. If it can transmit to a large cat at a zoo, it might very well be able to transmit to our cats. At least at this point, we feel it doesn't cause significant disease in cats, and at least the evidence that I've read so far does not seem to indicate that an infected cat could transmit it to a person.
Right.
Except for a pet acting much like any other surface that an infected person might touch and leave viral particles on that surface.
So what kind of questions are you all doctors? Is everybody okay? So any of the other doctors, and I would say Dr. Joseph, but you're both Joseph. So either one of the doctors, what's the number one question you're hearing from clients right now? And just unmute your mic to talk.
And before we do that, Jeff does have to go. It turns out he's got a call that he's got to get on. So we got to say goodbye to Jeff. So Jeff, thank you so much for being here and showing up.
Thank you.
Be good.
Jeff.
Be sure to sign up for their
Webinars, yes.
We can get that back up on the screen. We'll get you out of here and we'll get that back up on the screen. So all of you would have it. If you want to drop us a note in case you don't see it, there we go. Jeff, we'll see you online. Be good, man.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Now on to the important stuff. all animal talk from here on in. I think we're doing this Monday through Friday, Anthony. I'm tired talking about the hotel business.
So, Dr. Joseph, what's the number one thing that people are asking?
I think most of the people are really asking about whether or not we're still open at this point. What happens if their pets get sick? Are they, still able to come in, and whether or not it's safe for them and their pets to actually come in? And this is a developing issue, right? We're trying to abide by the rules, by the governor, trying to limit everyone coming outside. So, unless you really have to, I would definitely advise staying indoors. But one of the options that we're starting to come out with is telemedicine, where we are actually doing the same thing that we're doing right now. Let's say, God forbid, Lily is super itchy or something like that. And it's not like it's a, dire emergency, but, you want someone to take a look at it to see what's going on. We can do it through, the camera to see, okay, does this really warrant actually having to come in and risk, exposure? And on the off time that we actually do need to come in, we're doing curbside assistance. So we're actually not letting people into our clinic at this point. So basically we drop off the pet in the, at our doors and get a history on the phone, so that we're not face to face, and then we do a physical exam. We call you guys with, what's going on, what we think needs to be done, and then we come to a mutual agreement as to how to move on from there. So we're really like trying to abide for, from the standards that are given to us by the governor and everyone, just so that everyone is safe.
And Dr. Silverman, what are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Basically the same thing. Are we open? Can my pet get COVID, specifically COVID-19? Like Dr. Datner said, it's been around in dogs and cats forever. It's just, now it's surfacing in people. We are doing the same thing, curbside pickup. We're examining the pets in the hospital away from the owners. But I mean, it also comes down to vaccinations, because that's, we don't want another pandemic of some other animal-related disease. So vaccines are still an important aspect of everything going on right now.
So if a parent has an emergency with their pet, you will see the animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like your loved one going to a human hospital.
Are people? Do you see their anxiety level about their pet like just skyrocketing?
Yeah, I mean, this is their. I mean, look at you right now. This is your baby. This is like my child, my dog. I've had her 15 years. My son's 4.5 months old. So
right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. We know who you love more now. You just said it.
The pet.
Well, actually, this animal, Lily, is my. I picked the dog out for my wife, but she says she did, but whatever. And but this dog is helping my wife like I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's truly a therapy dog for my wife right now. It's really helping my wife get through this. And my wife, I am shocked that she's sitting here with me and letting me pet her and hold her, because she is usually so far. She's so close to my wife. Like my wife doesn't move without her looking at her. And she's a house dog. She rarely goes out. She's very much my wife's therapy dog. I don't know if that was me. But
yeah, you should really excuse yourself, man. Oh.
So Dr. Gary, going through this, after this, how do you think your practice changes? And then I want to talk more about a veterinary care group and kind of how you're changing everything from a service standard. But like, what do you think is the number one thing that comes out of this that's going to be different than it was before?
Well, I think the most striking thing, so it was almost 4 weeks ago that we went into shutdown and they deemed us essential. And I think in those 4 weeks, it's become really apparent how essential veterinary care is. I mean, I can tell you in those 4 weeks, across our offices, we've surgically intervened in foreign objects. We've surgically intervened to remove tumors. We've diagnosed and treated cancer, liver disease, kidney disease. We've done preventative care on puppies. We've unfortunately put to sleep older pets who were at that time. And I don't know what really would have happened if we were not able to be available for those services. So I can see how veterinary medicine is it's essential.
Yeah, I've got a question from the audience over here. Khalid Norman wants to know: is it okay for my cat to be on a screened patio away from people? I know my cats will destroy any single screen that they can by hanging on to the dang things. But where do you come down on this, doctors?
Who wants to take that one? I would say being on a screened patio is, if there are not people around, is fine as long as it's a secure environment and the cat can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the reasons I sit on your board and I like working with you guys is you kind of got there before everyone else got there. And now coming out of this pandemic, everyone's going to get there. And what I mean by is when you have your pet come into one of your offices, they go directly into the room. There's no sitting in the waiting room. There's no hanging out with other sick pets and other potentially sick humans. You go directly into the waiting room. Why don't you talk about that perspective and why you guys did that? So whoever wants to take that.
Well, I think it's really the the respect that we have for people's time. We're in New York City. Everyone has things to do, places to go, and if I have an appointment at, let's say, 2:00,
Mm-hmm.
I expect to be seen at 2:00. There really shouldn't be any kind of wait. I mean, of course, there's certain instances where emergencies can definitely back things up a little bit, but for the most part, I think it's really, we like to be treated the way that everybody wants to be treated. So I think that it's just time is valuable, and it's part of the service.
Yeah.
Gary?
Well, yeah, agreed with that. I think moving forward from here, I think we have to take a really long-term view on how any human interactions are going to be going on. I mean, right now we've dealt with it by not allowing the pet owners in the facility at all. We just take the pets in to try and minimize, to try and maximize the pet owner's safety and to try and maximize the safety of the team. I think that's probably going to extend for some period of time. I don't necessarily see that just changing on May 15th. Right. I think we have to plan on that for a while.
And, I love the fact when me and Lily went to the vet a couple of months ago, it was probably about 8 months ago. It was before I met you guys. And I'm sitting in my vet and it's very crowded and she's nervous because usually my wife takes her, but my wife was working. And she literally pooped on my lap. She was so nervous that she literally in the vet, and I'm sitting there going, because a dog just kind of walked up to me and I'm like, oh my God, that dog stinks. And I was so uncomfortable. And then I looked down on my sweatpants and there was a big bunch of poop in my sweatpants. And because the dog was so nervous. And I think one of the things that you guys, by doing it the way you're doing it, is the dog in the bed's not as anxious, because there's an anxious thing coming out of your house and going to a vet. And, I just noticed the change in the animals that I've seen in your shop. They just go right in. They seem a lot more comfortable as everyone's there shaking. The parents are shaking. Right. The animals are shaking. I was nervous. It stunk like poop. And that's another thing about Veterinary Care Group. I don't smell poop or pee in any of your clinics. Mm. I mean, I go into Glenn's house and I smell all the time.
I was about to say, Anthony, thank you for changing the names and location of that story to not embarrass me that you just put up there. We got a question from behind the scenes. I'm living in a shared backyard with people that have cats and dogs. Do I have to worry that these animals come too close to me, even though I'm not touching them? Anyone?
Dr. Silverman, why don't you grab that one?
I probably would treat it just as I would any other object. Mm-hmm. So the animal themselves probably will not give it to you, but like a doorknob, if you're not touching them, you should be fine. If they brush up against your pants, change your pants, do whatever precautions to stay safe that you would outside of the house.
One of the things I'm trying to tell people in general is because some people have a different level of anxiety or a different level of protocol for themselves. And whatever your level of protocol is, as long as you're not infecting other people or doing anything dangerous, you have to be comfortable with. So if I go to the supermarket, I look a little crazy because I have a Lysol can. Forget about the mask. I literally do. So you're laughing, but I don't think that's crazy. I Lysol, I use cash now and tell them to keep the change. But before, a couple weeks ago, I was Lysoling the credit card machine before I touched it. And then I had gloves on. I took the gloves off, and then I Lysoled my hands. And I washed my hands. And people think I'm a germaphobe because of the show, but I'm not a germaphobe, and I'm not neurotic, although a lot of people would disagree. But that's my level of care. I love my mailman, but when he opens up my box, before I touch the mail, I Lysol my mailbox, and I Lysol every single package. So I think to that young lady's point is whatever you're comfortable with. So from a medical standpoint, what Dr. Silverman was saying is, use precaution and you should be okay. But if you don't want to have your pet back there because you're uncomfortable, don't give yourself any unnecessary anxiety. That I think is the most important thing.
Yeah. I want to throw out there that producer Jeff backstage gave us a great article from CNN. I tried bringing it up and it's messing up my computer, but they said for the first time ever, a pet facility is out of animals because everybody is donating pets right now at this time. If you want to have some, some good news, that's pretty darn good news.
Yeah, we've seen a tremendous increase in pet adoptions, pet purchases. The proportion of new puppies that we're seeing on a daily basis is amazing. So I think a lot of people are seeking out that companionship during these times.
So now, if you could tell Gary, if you can talk about Veterinary Care Group, where you guys are located, how people can get in touch with you if God forbid they have an emergency. Talk a little bit about that because I didn't bring you on here to do a commercial because I'm not into commercials right now. It's not about that. But I truly believe that people need your company and need your services because I've never really seen a veterinary care. I've never seen veterinarians at this level of care across the board and love. And I've had a lot of great veterinarians, but it's just a mindset. And Peter's the CEO, correct?
Yes.
Peter, who was the CEO, worked with me at the Westin Hotel in New York City, and he was a food and beverage assistant, and I was the asset manager. And no matter how stressful it was, he was always the person I can go to make sure everything is taken care of. And I've never seen anybody work harder. So when he said that he organized this company and worked with a whole bunch of people, would I be interested? And I said, absolutely, anything for you, Peter, even though I haven't spoken to you in a couple of years, anything. And I went to one of your events and I fell in love with everyone and just the way you go about business. So talk about kind of the way you go about business and where you guys are located.
Well, right now, the Veterinary Care Group covers the counties of Queens and Nassau. Shortly, we'll be opening up in Brooklyn. That probably would have happened already without the current situation. Probably the best thing for people to do is go to veterinarycaregroup.com and just find the office that is closer to them and reach out to us. We're definitely there to help.
Yeah, and I really think how you're doing it, like I know, Joseph, you were saying about, well, we just want your time is money and we just want to get you in and out. It's more than that. It's you're not sitting in that lobby. You're not sitting around sick animals and you immediately see a doctor within 5 minutes. I mean, that's something, or you see a technician. I mean, that's something no one else is doing. And maybe you won't talk about, but I will. The reason other people don't do it is because there's not as much money in it. You can't see as many pets on a daily basis as other clinics. You just can't. You're probably seeing, maybe 50% less pets than other clinics because you're taking your time and you're making sure that every single person is getting quality of care in every single animal. You're not stacking them up in the lobby, and they can wait 20 minutes. So that's really what it comes down to. You're making less money because you're seeing less pets. But Peter's mission to me, when he talked to me, he goes, it's about standard of care. No one is doing what we're doing, and it's about standard of care. And if we take care of that, everything else will take care of itself. What do you think about that, Glenn?
I think that's really good, but I really want to know this question. And then I got a personal question for myself. How do we believe zoos are coping with all this? We talked about sick animals, but what's going on behind the scenes? How are they taking care of all those creatures that they're tasked with caring with? And I happen to know that the folks down at Animal Kingdom in Orlando at Disney World are still hard at work, and I'm sure our zookeepers throughout the entire country. What are they doing? What are they thinking about? Is it just business as usual, even just without people for them?
I mean, I think in the backstages of zoos, like you have to create that. You still have to take care of the animals and give them medical care, and of course, like feed them and make sure that everything is nice and clean. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that their staff isn't actively sick. If they're sick, they should be staying home and just kind of like how the tigers in the Bronx do got that COVID.
Right.
It's most likely from the humans themselves that's taking care of them that got sick. So really just decreasing exposure. But yeah, we still have to take care of them. They are essential workers as well. So.
And did that tiger pass away, or is that tiger okay?
No, she's doing okay.
Oh,
Yeah, she's actually one of the 6 tigers that were actively sick, so they were coughing and they're actually symptomatic. But only one of them tested positive for it. So
wow, that's just that whole thing is just so wild to me. All right, I got a question about the animals that live with me, my cats. Why do they always insist on sitting on whatever I'm doing right in front of me? My laptop, my paperwork. What is that behavior all about?
You guys could take that one.
Lily's going to answer that. Lily, why don't you answer that?
Yeah, maybe Dr. Silverman. We haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, so I mean, it's all about the attentions on them.
Right.
It's distracting. It's taking away a time from them.
Right.
that's love. That's feline love right there.
Yeah. I love it. And it's the same thing too when they're like staring you down, but they're not really giving you the evil eye, right? They just don't have the muscle to smile, so that means they care, right?
Yeah, it's those eyes just looking up at you like, feed me, pet me, love me.
So if everybody listening to this on Facebook, please post a picture of you listening to this with your pet. That would be really
they
great.
cannot post pictures on Facebook, which is what the problem is.
Why is that?
A couple of people, I don't know. They can't do it in these chat rooms on Facebook. That this is what people are telling me. I don't know. I haven't researched this myself, but I have to believe our amazing group of listeners.
Well, afterwards, why don't you take a picture and then upload it afterwards on our pages? I'd love to see it.
Somebody, Gary Cardona, wants to know, Anthony, where are you getting all that Lysol from? And I'm thinking, share it with the rest of us, please.
Okay. Well, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a preparer, and piss poor preparation leads to piss poor performance. So before everybody went to banks and everybody went to grocery stores, I was there a week before, stocking up, and I got as many Lysol cans as I could. And I didn't get a lot. I didn't get like 50. I wasn't doing that.
Right.
But I made 2 or 3 trips, and I got maybe eight cans total. And they were very big cans, and I'm just using it. And now I can't find any of them.
Right.
But I didn't want to be in line with. I just saw what was happening in Italy, and I saw what was happening in China, and I just couldn't imagine how it was not going to happen here. And so I remember having breakfast with a friend of mine, Kevin. I won't say exactly who he is because I want to out him, but but a very good friend of mine who's a police officer. And he was like, I don't want to live in the world that you're talking about. And I was like, I don't want to live in that world either. And a week later, we were all living in that world. And I just didn't want to be that guy standing online getting Lysol and toilet paper. So I'm pretty fucked up.
In other news, we've got a LinkedIn Live special. If you want to buy a roll of toilet paper, it's only $25 a roll, and buy 2, get 1 at half price. But also for all of you out there, producer Jeff has an interesting story that happened to him. They're a little worried about what's going on with the toilet paper thing. He's getting a little low. He's getting a little concerned. So he went out and got himself a little bidet, one of those things that you can put on there and just plug it right in. And I got to tell you, he is feeling pretty good about his decision. And he says it's amazing. And he's putting little smiley faces on in the chat room behind the scene.
Well,
yes, sir.
Well, when I was in Vegas, I did a show, 5-Star Secrets of the Area, and I sat on one of those Japanese toilets for the first time, and it changed my life. And if I had one in my house before the pandemic, I would never left my house.
Yeah, I mean they've got different stream water jets, and then they've got an air dryer in there to make sure that you're ready to go when you've gone.
So do you think? So getting back to our pets and getting away from your bottom, what is
good idea?
Do you think the animals are feeling the stress of their owners?
No, I think the animals are enjoying every last bit of this right now. Everyone's at
Agreed.
home. Everyone is at home, and they're like, I know one dog actually sprained their tail, wagging their tail too much. So,
are you serious? Sprain their tail?
Yeah.
How do you even know if your dog sprains its tail?
It's painful.
But how does it? Does the dog go, "Hey, mom, look what I did over here"?
It becomes like sensitive to the touch. Sometimes like you're petting them back there, and they're suddenly becoming more reactive. So that kind of stuff definitely.
Right.
So people that were listening here, there may be some students and some people that don't know what they want to do when they get older. So if I can ask all three of you, when was the moment that you knew you wanted to be a veterinarian?
Well, basically always. Since I was a little kid, I read All Creatures Great and Small, All Creatures Big and Beautiful, and that did it for me. So I was maybe 8. But I think a lot of people do, always never considered anything else.
I think I was a little bit different. I think my experience was not until after I graduated undergrad. I was a bio major. I was always like a science major. But coming out of college, it was difficult to find like a job that I actually wanted. Didn't really want to work in human medicine, so I volunteered in the emergency and specialty hospital, and I got to see a lot of the emergency cases, and thought that was like pretty interesting. So that was where my inspiration came from, was from the emergency setting, and actually like trying to help these sick animals.
Dr. Silverman?
Like Dr. Gary, I mean, from day one, it's all I've ever thought about. The books, James Harriet, I mean, reading them, that's what I envisioned my future to be.
Wow.
And it's interesting because I know a lot of people don't realize this, but medical school for veterinarians is pretty intense, simply because you have to know so many different.
That's funny. I was just about to ask, how many different animal species can you guys take care of confidently without having to check on books and stuff like that?
It probably varies by individual. I think perhaps Dr. Silverman may be the most broadly based on that. But in vet school, we pretty much learn it all. I mean, in vet school, you cover the gamut from little parakeets up to cows, horses. We treated a polar bear when I was in vet school.
Wow.
Yeah. I think right now we're doing mostly cats and dogs, but when I was at University of Florida, we treated everything from like bald eagles that, run into cars with broken wings to, camels from,
Right.
Disney, to alligators from the alligator farm out in Jacksonville. So yeah, we treat all sorts of different animals out there.
That's pretty amazing.
I mean,
Joseph?
Yesterday I saw a tooth root abscess in a rabbit. So we're seeing everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. I got another question. I got another for you guys. Okay. So I got 2 other cats, and they're also adopted animals, and these poor babies were on their own for a little while. So they're pretty skittish. They're scared little creatures. They want to come over and get some love, but then they freak out all the time. I can never pick them up or anything like that, and there's no way I'm ever going to be able to get them to the vet. Is there anything I could do to make them feel less traumatized? They've been living with us for 1.5 years, 2 years now, and they get all this love, but they're still traumatized and they don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's going to be a really slow process, I would say, just because, I mean, you have to take things one step at a time, but there are certain things that you can try. Definitely catnip is something that can calm them down a little bit. You can also go either online or to the store to get something called Feel Away. Feel Away is basically an aerosolized pheromone, kind of like lavender oil in humans. It's supposed to have a calming effect. You just can't smell it. And basically you just infuse the whole areas where they like to hang out. They're like, by the cat tree, by their bed. They have the plug-in aerosols. You have the drops that you can put on them. So that's going to be a little bit calmer, but every cat's going to be a little bit different. It really depends on what their history is, because we don't know what kind of trauma that they had, when they were out there before they met you. So
Right.
that could have a lasting effect.
Yeah, I keep asking them and they refuse to tell me. So it's a shame. I really do want to help them. All right, thank you for that. That's really good advice. Anthony?
Well, thank you everyone for being on, and I thought it was really important at this point to really talk about the animals, especially on Feel Good Friday, because right now this dog right now, Lily, is really keeping everybody sane, and it seems like everybody's fighting over wanting to hang out with Lily, and but my wife always wins. So and she's been a good dog, don't you think she's been good, like hanging out with me all this time?
Fantastic.
And you smell good too. Lily got a little bit of brushing and a little perfume for her debut. She was very excited about it. So again, once again, why don't you tell everyone how they can find Veterinary Care Group? And just I can't wait to see you guys after this pandemic's over.
Hey, so Anthony, Glenn, thanks so much for having us on. We really do appreciate it, and at least get the message out there that veterinarians are essential. If people and their pets are having medical issues, don't just assume we're not there. We are there to help, and definitely give your vet or give us a call. We can help you with your pet's issues. Best way to reach us is to go to veterinarycaregroup.com and find the location closest to you. Other doctors, you have anything you want to add?
Well, thank you, everyone, and I really, really appreciate it. And I did not expect to see Peter because he's gun shy. I did. No, I was the first banquet I attended with you.
Why?
I didn't realize that he was so gun shy, but he literally ran away from the spotlight. Anytime somebody said anything nice about him, he just ran the other way. He just works hard, but doesn't want. And I know he's probably listening to us. So, Peter, thank you very much. And next time I'm getting you on, buddy. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
I love it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Guys, thank you so much for being
Bye,
here,
everyone.
and we will see you again another time. Anthony, what a fun show that was today, huh?
And how pretty's Lily? And I mean it. Listen, you know me. I don't want anybody on the show that I don't think deserves to be on the show. And they are doing so many great things behind the scenes, and they care about pets and animals like I've never seen. And they're just a great bunch of people. And I think you're going to hear about Veterinary Care Group across this country very, very soon. They really have big plans.
Anthony's freezing up. So listen to this, guy.
Okay. So I don't know if you heard me, but anyway, they're great. They're a great bunch of people.
Let me say this. Yeah.
What are you doing,
Anthony? Listen to this though. On Monday, this weekend, I am hoping that the weather is going to be nice enough that I could actually sit out in my backyard for a little bit, go on a hike, do something like that. I really want to focus on taking care of my mental and physical health over this weekend, because next week we've got some amazing shows, everybody. On Monday, we've got an incredible exclusive. The brand new CEO of Radisson Hotel Group Americas, our good friend Jim Alderman, is going to be joining us. And then after that, we've got on Tuesday, Jerry Inzarello, and a lot more amazing people coming on throughout the week. It's going to be a gangbuster series of shows there, Anthony.
And if you haven't listened to our show or you don't have that much time, please listen to Monday and Tuesday. I mean, these are the thought leaders of our industry. They're going to have some creative solutions. They're going to have some insight. They're going to have some positive comments. They're just incredible people. And I know Jerry personally, and he is a legend. And that we got him on this show, I'm absolutely fascinated and just so blessed. So please, at least Monday and Tuesday. I hope you listen all week, but Monday and Tuesday, they're really big shows, and we're really, really excited.
Hey, but if you can't listen to them live, be sure to catch our replays. You can find them on here. You can find them anywhere else, and be sure to text the word hotel to 66866, because every Sunday night you're going to get a synopsis of everything we did that week, all of the shows that we broadcast, but plus other stuff that you may not easily find on social media. Man, Anthony, I'm ready to get this weekend started. Shall we get out of here?
I think we need a Lily corner. I think next week we do a Lily's corner. She becomes a co-host.
All right. All right. So for Anthony and Lily and my cats, George, Mr. Mittens, Kit Kat, and Splotchy Girl, I'm Glenn. I want to thank you all for being here. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening and sharing the love with us this week. May you have a happy and successful weekend while we get through this crisis. Peace out, everybody.